You want some NFL talk here? You want some NFL talk in early April? You came to the right place on the early line on a Tuesday morning, April 1st, 2025. Donnie Rightside here along with Mark Zinno. It is April Fool's, which not too many people are going to fall too many times for, hey, haha, it's pretty funny stuff. You know why I bring this up? Tiger Woods. See what he retweeted about, maybe, or tweeted, I should say, about 15 to 20 minutes ago? Quote, I can't believe I'm saying this, but a few weeks after rupturing my left Achilles, the sleeping in a hyperbaric chamber plus the explosive lifts, my doctors and trainers have me ready to play for the Masters next week. Can't wait. See y'all on the course. Now, Mark, if you would have saw that, would you have got really excited that Tiger's back, bust out the posters, and fire away on the FanDuel Sportsbook for an epic victory for Tiger?
No, Tiger would never get my money. He's just not he's not at the level of a golfer who deserves my money at this point.
Yeah.
We're not talking about Tiger from 20 years ago. We're barely even talking about Tiger from 10 years ago. Tiger right now that steps out on the golf course doesn't have a chance to win, given the competition and the level that's out there. So, well, it's nice for the tweet, and I certainly appreciate it, and it'll draw eyeballs, but it wouldn't get my money. Those are two different things.
Now I got to get to work on Twitter because I should, like, April Fools, I should have came more prepared. Like, Mark Zinno's on the show with me this morning. Ben was let go by the network. April Fools or not, nobody knows. Next show I have is Moneyline after this. Kevin Walsh probably won't be there again for the 9th out of his last 10 days. I could have said he got let go by the network. Like, that's how I should have used my time here on a Tuesday morning, by letting people go on the network at this point. And by the way, we think some people would have believed that too, Mark, I believe. Wait a second, where's Ben? Gotta let go. They don't realize it's April. Like, oh man, that's terrible. So I can play it both ways.
It would have been a good idea. We could have had a lot of fun with it.
We could have.
You know, for the first hour of the show, people solidly would have believed that breaking news was about to happen.
Exactly. That's what we do. Breaking news on the early line, and away it goes. Now, there is big breaking news today that may be anticipating with rule changes, Mark, in the NFL. And the major rule change on deck is to ban or not ban the tush push in the NFL. Ari Miroff sent out a tweet here that says the Texans head coach DeMeco Ryans on the Packers' proposal to ban the tush push. Quote, it's tough to punish a team for being really good at something. So we'll open the conversation here at this point. We'll get to some coaches that don't like it, some coaches that like it, a la Nick Sirianni. But I always find it to myself where you're banning an illegal play as if one team has an unfair advantage where they got grandfathered in, like only on 4th downs, the Packers can have 16 players on the field because they were able to do that in 1960. And somehow throughout the league years, they're still allowed to do that. We don't. Every single team in the league is allowed to do the tush push. Now, the reason why all teams don't do it successfully is because maybe they don't have a strong enough offensive line. Maybe they don't have a powerful running back pushing. Maybe they don't have a quarterback that squats 650 pounds. And maybe if an organization goes like, I'm not going to give my quarterback extra hits, so I'm not even going to try it. But one team is willing to do that, and I want to penalize them. Let's start on that level right now. The banning of the tush push, because some teams don't want to do it, but they're allowed to do it, but they don't find it to their advantage when somebody else has an advantage. What do we think about that whole schematically thing?
I mean, the problem with the advantage that the Eagles have, and the Bills to a certain extent, is that they have the two players you can do it with, right? Like nobody else, not everybody can do the tush push and execute it. In theory, they could, but not everybody has a 240-pound quarterback who could literally knock a linebacker on his backside. Like that's, you're not going to get that from Bryce Young. You're not going to get that from Jaden Daniels. You're not going to get that from even Dak Prescott. Like they just, they're not going to put their quarterbacks in that position to get injured. They're not going to do it with Patrick Mahomes, right? Like they just find other ways to get it. So not all 32 teams have the ability to do it. And I use the comparison to the torpedo bat. All 30 Major League Baseball teams can use a torpedo bat, levels the playing field, but not everybody can do a tush push because they just don't have the personnel. Now, does that mean I think it should be banned? No, I don't think it should be banned. I think you should alter the rules that defenses can push players back, right? Like that's, to me, is the fix to this whole thing. Allow linebackers to push a defensive lineman into the offensive line, but then we're going to sit here and play this player safety card. Well, if it's player safety for the offense, for the defense, it's got to be player safety for the offense. So you don't have to get rid of the tush push. You just even have to figure out something where all 32 teams can do the exact same thing on both sides of the ball, and it solves the problem. So again, I think there are teams that are whining a lot about this, because they can't figure out a way to stop it. Here's the other thing. Guess what? Like, you know, if you play better in all the other aspects, the tush push is one play that only materializes itself on like one down in one situation, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. That's it. So kind of either figure out a way to stay out of those situations, or here's a crazy idea: get a lead. The Eagles won't be doing the tush push all that much if they're trailing by 15, right? Like that kind of negates that whole concept. So, yeah, you know, you could try to figure out a way to beat them in every other aspect of the game.
And also, we love offense. Like we're not too far away, Mark, where teams were routinely punting on 4.5 yard at the plus 37 yard line. Like, oh, too risky at this point. Let's pin them inside the 5. It sort of keeps drives together longer and adds extra opportunity for scoring, which we do like. Now, we're going to take a look from an approach where, you know, Sean McDermott of the Buffalo Bills, I've always found interesting in this because sometimes, hey, look, I have a quarterback that can do the, you know, sneak at some points here. It didn't work out all that well in the playoffs for them, but he's worried about injuries and the injury situation, even though he readily admits, I don't have any injury data to back it up and nobody really gets injured on this play, but I'm worried about injuries on this play. So here's a video from Sean McDermott talking about the tush push here.
I've done, you know, I've dove deeper into more of the data on it and, you know, just thought more about it as well. And my position hasn't really changed at all. You know, I feel where I'm most concerned is even though there's not significant data out there to this point, my biggest concern is the health and safety of the players, first and foremost.
What are you seeing with the health and safety of the players? Since, as you said, there is really no data to say there's injuries. Like, what are you seeing?
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime you get in, it's two things. It's force, added force, number one, and then the posture of the players. You know, being asked to execute that type of play, that's where my concern comes in.
Do you think you'll continue to run the play if it remains, and you have concerns about the safety? Do you think you'll continue to run it? Because I think you ran it quite a bit last week.
A form of it, right? A form of it. So I think it's a loose term, really, in terms of what defines a tush push. So you know, so there's different forms of it out there. I know we are one of the teams that people identify that run it. That's fair. You know, there's other teams as well. So I just look, we're gonna always act in a way that's best for the health and safety of the players, and I think that's the responsible way to go.
By the way, my first takeaway from that was not actually what he was talking about in the tush push. Can we get a side-by-side on Sean McDermott and Freddie Roach, the legendary boxing trainer? Identical. Like they're twins right now, as I just saw. What he was talking about here, Mark, was banning the tush push based on injuries where nobody gets injured on the play. How about that?
Yeah, you know, again, I mean, the Bills' tush push was equally as successful. It worked in the playoff game. The officials said it didn't. That's the reality of it. I mean, you know, it's not like that play got stopped. That was the first down. I think we all know that at this point in time. Doesn't mean the Bills would have won that game, but, you know, the refs got that call wrong. And that's the sad part, too. We're having the wrong conversation about tush push. We need a chip in the football. We don't need the tush push. Like, that's how you figure this whole thing out, where you start to stop it, and it's not just some melee in the middle that the officials can't find the ball on. So we're having the wrong conversation here as well.
Yeah, let's just get a new strength coach in the building. How about that to improve your tush push there from your quarterback and your center and your offensive line? It happens, people. Mike Tomlin, you're on deck. Talk some Steelers football next. Oh, it's nice to talk football here early in the month of April. Yes, it is April Fool's. It is April 1st, 2025. It's Mark Zinno. It's Donnie Rightside. No April Fool's on this show here. We're bringing the straight facts to you directly. Even if the NFL coaches aren't giving us the straight facts, like Sean McDermott saying, let's ban the tush push because people get injured. I don't really know if they get injured, but it just sounds like they might get injured in the future. Let's do away with it. Now it brings up the Pittsburgh Steelers, who seem like they have the easiest decision in the room. Well, we purposely didn't sign a real quarterback, quote unquote, in the offseason because our expectations are we want Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't really have anywhere to go, Mark, but the Pittsburgh Steelers. But for some reason, he might drag this out for another month or two while he tries to make his decision. Let's just start here. The thoughts on Aaron Rodgers to the Pittsburgh Steelers does what for you?
I mean, it's sad to say it's probably the best quarterback that Arthur Smith has had as an entire play calling career, which is 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers. But, you know, again, I don't know that it really elevates them all that much. You know, Aaron Rodgers didn't play poorly last year, right? Like, he didn't play great, but he certainly didn't play poorly. And he's not the sole reason why the Jets weren't successful by any stretch of the imagination. His numbers tell you that and everything else. I still think he could play. I don't know if it, puts him in a position to be the division winner of the AFC North. I don't think that's the case. But again, I still think Aaron Rodgers would rather play in Minnesota in the NFC than have to go to Pittsburgh and play against Lamar, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and everybody else.
Yeah.
It's a much easier path to a deep playoff run in the NFC than it is in the AFC. So I think we're all going to sit here waiting until the Vikings decide whether they want Aaron Rodgers or they don't. And the minute they say they don't, Aaron Rodgers will call up the Steelers and go, okay, I'm ready to go play in Pittsburgh now. That's what that's how this whole thing plays out. And that's what it's waiting on right now, is the Vikings to make a decision if they want Aaron Rodgers.
Mike Tomlin likes to say the standard is the standard, when the standard right now is they can't find a quarterback since Ben Roethlisberger retired at this point. Now, we do have some video here coming up with Mike Tomlin where he explains the process of, I'm comfortable without a quarterback. How about that?
He's a free agent. As you guys know, he came to visit last Friday. We had a really productive day. He's been in this thing a long time. I've been in this thing a long time. But it's no substitute for intimacy and spending time together and getting to know one another in a non-competitive environment. And so that was really good. But I don't have any new updates in terms of where the process is. We'll see where it leads us.
How unsettling is it, or is it, to not have this situation?
I'm really comfortable with being unsettled this time of year, to be quite honest with you. It's about talent acquisition. We got two main means of acquiring talent: free agency and the draft. We multitask. We do both. Those needs that we fulfill in free agency, we do so there, and when we don't, we fulfill it in the draft. And so I just learned over the years that this time of year, although day to day it can be somewhat uncomfortable, it is a process.
You don't even need a lie detector test, Mark, to understand this. Is he lying? Look, sweating bullets, talking about he's not worried about his quarterback situation. It looks like he's more worried than anybody in the history of professional football of who his quarterback might be. How about that?
Yeah, the profuse sweating wasn't necessarily a great look for Mike Tom. Maybe there was some bright lights there from cameramen and everything else, causing him a little bit of extra perspiration. But you can't. I mean, look, there's a difference between I'm comfortable with uncertainty at this time of year, and I'm comfortable with Mason Rudolph as my starter. That's the bold-faced lie. No one's comfortable with Mason Rudolph starting 17 games. So they can say that, but we all know that's a lie, and that's not true, because we know Mason Rudolph is not a starter in this league. That's the reality of the whole situation. So are they comfortable with it? They're going to be as comfortable as they can get until after the draft, and then OTAs start showing up, and they want their quarterback in there. That's where you start to get uncomfortable. That's where the comfort becomes discomfort, is because when you want to start building things and getting your season ready, you need your starting quarterback in the building.
Yeah, you're more confident right now in the Pittsburgh Steelers. You can head over right now to the FanDuel Sportsbook. Get that win total listed at 8.5. How about the AFC North Championship plus 550? How about the AFC title 21-1, and to win a Super Bowl 44-1 price? Now I'm going to hit you with this angle, Mark, because we talk about like the Pittsburgh Steelers waiting. What is Aaron Rodgers actually waiting for at this point right now? Like, why has he not committed to the Steelers, which from as good as you can get, right? Good defense, good offense team that's used to being over 500, looking for a quarterback. You're a quarterback. They want you. What is Aaron Rodgers waiting for right now?
The Minnesota Vikings, playing indoors, playing with Kevin O'Connell, playing with a high-level offensive team. I mean, look, if you go to Pittsburgh versus Minnesota, which division? They're both tough division. Which one do you think is more likely to win? I think it's the Vikings. I think they're closer to winning the division than the Steelers are.
But they've already told you at this point, right? The Vikings like, no, we're going with the young kid. Now, understand this too, because the dichotomy does change at this point. Like J.J. McCarthy's there. If we're really taking Kevin O'Connell at his, word, they're telling Aaron Rodgers, hey, wait, I love this kid. We drafted him in the top half of the first round. But if he stinks during 2 OTAs, I'm going to come sign you for big money. You be our starter. Is something amiss in Minnesota that I'm like completely out on, where they love J.J. McCarthy to the point where they don't even think he can play in the NFL? Like, what am I missing here?
You're missing the fact that he's coming off a torn ACL and that he's still not physically going to be 100%. And it's tough for quarterbacks off a torn ACL who have been.
It wasn't an ACL, though.
Achilles or
Like,
ACL?
that was one of those injuries where, yeah, it was a knee like meniscus, let's just say. It was like an 8-week injury. Like, okay, we're not going to rush you back this year. So he's perfectly healthy at this point.
Okay. Well, I mean, again, he hasn't played a snap in the NFL. So you got a guy coming off an injury, never having played a snap. There's a lot of questions there. I mean, I think the Vikings are more about, do we want to disrupt what we have? Do we want to change the locker room culture? Do we want to do all these things? In favor of bringing Aaron Rodgers here as opposed to going with a rookie. They sold on Sam Darnold. They knew they had to have a current backup plan. I don't know that J.J. McCarthy they're putting all their eggs in the basket.
Like, Darnold didn't even get a lot of money per se on the NFL landscape for a true starter here. Why would Minnesota just keep him there only to say we want Aaron Rodgers, who's aging at this point? We don't like J.J. McCarthy. What's going on, Minnesota? I'll tell you what's going on. We're talking more football next, right here on the early line. Headlines, people, headlines in the NFL. Look, you know the NFL. It's 12 months out of the year. It's 365. It's all that good stuff baked in. The owners' meetings today, which we're going to find out sort of what's approved, what's not approved. Maybe some more coaches talking this morning. We'll get some of those leaks to come out here. The Giants, they can't afford any leaks at this point, Mark. Why? Because they leaked all their information in the offseason, on Hard Knocks all season, embarrassed themselves to the point where no NFL team will ever do that again because of how bad the Giants looked. Congratulations. Now, the Giants had the world in the palm of their hand late in the season, where all they had to do was say, you know what, Brian Dable, I'm going to bring you back next year. Joe Shane, GM, I'm going to bring you back next year. Here's what I need, coming from Mara's perspective. You can't win any more games. We want the top pick here. Then we'll have the entire choice of the draft to make the right decision about our future. The Giants were stupid enough to actually get some gumption and knock off the Colts, which now lands them the 3 spot instead of the 1 spot. It may be a 2-quarterback draft, if even a 2-quarterback draft, as opposed to Cam Ward going number 1 overall. So the Giants go, hey, man, we're not going to force a quarterback selection at number 3. Genius general manager, Joe Shane. How about that?
Yeah, again, I've said it repeatedly that December 29th, 2024, not only is a date that will change the trajectory of the New York Giants franchise, but maybe even the NFL, depending on what some of these young players turn out to be, particularly Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, whatever it may be. But that'll be a day that the NFL and the Giants history took a turn that went in a completely different direction because, well, we had a franchise-long 10-game losing streak, and we had to snap it because why not? Yeah, I can't even get into it. Just I'm going to get very upset. It's too early in the morning. That said, the Giants are now in the 3rd spot. If they take a quarterback in the draft after signing Jameis Winston and signing Russell Wilson, like it is the ultimate. They have become the ultimate punching bag for an organization. You see this yesterday, DRS, for an organization that has been in the dumps for 10 years now. They signed a quarterback who said he's looking for more giggles. That's what Jameis Winston talked about in his press conference. Let's have more giggles. This is the NFL, not kiddie daycare. I don't need giggles. I need wins. Okay? Bring me wins, and then I'll start giggling. Bring me to the playoffs, then I'll start giggling. This franchise has become an embarrassment. They really have become a joke in the NFL.
I'll tell you, like, different franchises, they're never going to tell you how they handle it. I understand a big part of why Gerard Mayo is out of New England because he won a football game late in the season. I honestly believe that. Like, it's up to your ownership group to command and convey like what you want. Now, theoretically, it's probably unethical. Like, I need you guys to lose this. But if the Mara family came down, or John Mara comes down and just goes, Joe Shane, Brian Dable, you're coming back next year. Don't feel the pressure to win any of these games. You know what I'm saying to you right now. Whereas when you play, well, the players don't tank. No, they don't. But you know what happens here? When Brian Dable goes, all right, no audibles in this game, Drew Lock. 3rd and 19. Oh, we really need this to extend the game. Hand the football off to a fullback up the middle.
Right.
That's how you do it at that point, right?
Or you just say, Drew Lock, set this one down. Tommy Cutlets is going to start this game. And that solves the whole problem. Tommy Cutlets, go play your heart out. We're still going to lose by 30 because you're terrible and don't belong here.
Oh, it's so simple where the organization just mess things up, and then the Titans find themselves at the top here. Now, another polarizing individual, which really shouldn't be that polarizing. It's Brock Purdy, a solid quarterback in the NFL, but I'm telling you right now, you see some people say, pay him at the top scale, $60 million a year. And then an equal amount of people pay him $15 million a year because we don't think he's all that much. I can't wait to see when this deal gets done. But the reason why it's taking so long and so many years is I don't think anybody knows exactly where that pay slot is here for him, Brock Purdy. But what is he actually worth?
I mean, listen, I don't think either one of the quarterbacks I'm going to mention are worth the contracts they got, but Trevor Lawrence and Jordan Love got deals that I think Brock Purdy would feel like he is worth. I don't think Jordan Love and Trevor Lawrence were worth either one of those deals. I think they were both awful deals for quarterbacks who had proved nothing. Brock Purdy's at least gotten to a Super Bowl, right? Like, he has that in his back pocket. That said, I don't know if the Niners feel like they need to be tied to him. I still have it in the back of my head that at some point in time a trade materializes with the 49ers, who cleared out a ton of cap space and a ton of salary, to bring Kirk Cousins back to coach with Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco. I think there's a world where that trade could materialize, but I'm probably on an island on that one. I just don't know what they're waiting for with Purdy. If they would have wanted him that badly, they would have signed him already.
Maybe the best rookie contract in the history of professional sports. It was like $775K, man, and they couldn't win without it. We'll see what happens. More NFL talk next, then some college basketball. News and notes, including just a few moments here. We'll break in some breaking news from the NFL. But before that, other hot topics here. We're getting to the point now where I guess it's advantageous, Mark, where you have a quarterback or a high-level player on your team that you just continually rip up their contract every 1 to 2 years to re-sign them to lower the cap hit, understanding you're going to save money because the cap continuously goes higher on a year-to-year basis. The reason I bring that up is the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson looking at another extension fresh off of an extension right now. Normally, Mark, I'd say that's crazy. But just in the NFL landscape at this point where you sign a player now and in 2 years he's worth like triple that amount, maybe signing them sooner than later repeatedly is a new business practice in the future of the NFL?
I mean, you're starting to see a little bit of it in baseball with them buying out arbitration years, right? For guys that they really feel like have hit, and it ends up saving them a lot of money and ends up being fiscally responsible for them. You're starting to see that now, I think, in the NFL, where once guys get through that third year, they're willing to extend them given how quickly and exponentially the cost of players is going up, particularly at certain positions. And again, I use this conversation with the Giants and all the mess that they have that no one's really thinking about. Malik Neighbors, their stud rookie, who continues to be another success story as wide receivers coming out of LSU. You've given him a bad quarterback his first year. You're going to give him a bad quarterback his second year, and you're probably going to be on a third quarterback his third year. What's the reason for him to stay? Like, unless you throw him a whole big bag of money after 3 years and go, you're our guy, you're going to be the biggest part of our offense for the next 5 to 7 years, you're not helping keep that guy around. But it's advantageous for the Giants to do so with a guy like Malik Neighbors because, by all accounts, after 1 year, he's already popping off the screen as one of the top receivers in the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to see how the NFL landscape and obviously the contracts are changing where it's like more, again, you're supposed to be like, hey, sign him to a great deal. Woohoo! Saved over the next 5 years. And that's not the case anymore at this point because of how much money and the salary cap is going up here. Also, one of the final sticking points, this isn't an April Fool's joke. Woody Johnson calls his F grade from the NFLPA bogus because I guess he blamed his son Brick for he's really running the team and got the F and not Woody Johnson. So Woody Johnson's going to step in and say, you know what? I'm better than the F grade that I got.
Are you? Look, F and the Jets seem to be synonymous, whether it's about the NFLPA, whether it's about the play on the field, whether it's about their postseason success, whether it's about their NFL draft history. I mean, feels like a lot of Fs. That's all I know.
Yeah, it really does feel like a lot of Fs for the Jets. Make the playoffs. Maybe you get D's, C's, B's, and A's because the players are happy to actually show up to work as opposed to getting beat down every single year. But we do have breaking news in the NFL, as we told you. From the owners' meetings, a lot of things do break. Some signings will happen, but also rule changes. The first one we'll go over, Diana Rossini retweets here, or tweets out. The NFL will now allow both teams to possess the ball in overtime, but still only have a 10-minute overtime. Be like in the NBA. Hey, let's get the opening tip in overtime. Oh, look, Milwaukee won it. Giannis laid it in. Game over. Like, that's not fair. We want a chance to have the basketball. We want a chance to have the football. So at least the NFL is saying we'll make it a little bit more easy in overtime for the team that doesn't win a coin toss to actually get the football. Mark, your thoughts on that?
I hate the NFL's overtime. It gets worse and worse with every tweak they make. Stop the whining and just play defense. It's that simple.
Flip whining.
Coin, play football. It's flat out whining. It's not fair. I didn't get a chance to touch the ball. It's not fair. Play defense. We whine about everything that we don't win within the NFL. It's all it is. It's a bunch of baby stuff. It's soft. It's Charmin. It's weak. It's just ridiculous. How about you just play some defense? Is that okay? Is that novel concept something that bothers people? Such a joke. The NFL is just, they're a laughable joke with their nonstop rule changes in overtime. Flip a coin, play ball, grow a pair, deal with life. Football's tough. Wear a helmet. I'm done with this crap.
No, football is tough. We don't wear helmets around here, Mark. Let's go back to the leatherheads out there knocking it around. You got to, no way. No, I need the football in overtime. I need it. I can't lose to a coin flip. Now, granted, if it was a skills competition, where it's like, you know what, we're just going to throw the football up in the air with 10 guys on each side, and whoever gets the football gets it, I might live with that at a point because you had a chance, technically, just like in the NBA, if you tip it off, even though I don't agree with it, you still have a chance. The coin flip leaves you rendered out. Hey, I don't get the football. I lost the game. What am I supposed to do? So I can't buy into that at that point.
No,
but I do agree with a change on that.
Tell you otherwise, because when they had the coin flip, the team that won the coin toss only won the game 52% of the time, and that was over like 25 years worth of data. Since they've gone to this new stupid overtime, the team that wins the coin toss is winning close to 70% of the time. So take your data and do whatever you want with it.
Yeah.
Flip a coin, go play ball, and play defense. If you'd like the ball back, go stop somebody.
But you just said now 70% of the time the team that wins the coin toss wins overtime. So that's the advantage. They're trying to take that away, no? Like, because you win a coin toss, you win overtime.
No. It used to be close to 50% when you just did sudden death, when you did it real simple. Yeah, okay. Let's go back to sudden death. Flip a coin, play ball. End of the conversation. First team to score wins. End it. That's it. I mean, they're eventually going to morph into college overtime. That's what the NFL is going to go towards. They want that stupid system that is in football. They're eventually going to end up with that because you're going to get some stupid
college overtime.
College overtime is awful.
College overtime, awful. It's at least awful. It was you got to in rhythm, and then it turns into the 2-point conversion show, which is hilarious. Another thing that has passed. Get ready, Mark. More replays. Expanded replay assist has also passed here. So get used to, college basketball in the final minute, excruciating. Maybe the NFL will do the same thing. But the NFL, I do like expanded review, but I don't really know the details of actually what they're going to be able to expand the review because from my knowledge is you can't review the penalties that weren't called. So we all get angry like, he just tackled him by his face mask. Wasn't called. No big deal. Review can't save you on that.
I mean, you'll never get me to change from the Bill Belichick camp. At this point, all penalties should be reviewable. A coach should be able to use one of his 2 challenges on any. You're not making the game any longer. You have 2 challenges in a game. If you'd like to use it on a random holding call in the first quarter, knock yourself out, coach. If you'd like to wait for a missed face mask in the fourth quarter of a game, then go ahead and do it. You get 2 challenges. You can use them on a penalty. That's the end of it. Like they're at this point, the coach should be able to coach the game and manage it for his team and say, hey, you missed that one. I want it reviewed. Plain and simple. All penalties should be reviewable.
All the way at this point, too, where like the replay, it's the expanded replay. The reason why we like it is like we see a play on the TV in real time and we go, I don't think that was right. And then they get buzzed down the earpiece, move that football back to the 45-yard line. That's the correct spot. And they put it there. One thing I will never understand, which I do understand it myself because it's a business. More replays mean we can go to commercials, and that's where we can fit those in, which is ridiculous for the home audience and the people in the stands that don't want that to happen. But for me, if we just never had the ref going over and taking like all intents and purposes, like we joke about like Ben's TV on the wall, like looking at Ben's 17-inch TV or 6-inch TV, as opposed to just saying, we have an entire fleet of people with 80-inch plasma LCD screens that can make this decision quickly. I know even in college football when they do it, it upsets me, Mark, where they, hey, send the ref to the side of the field with a little like monitor to be like, ooh, I guess it was a fumble, and then go call it back. That's what I hope for here. Take it out of the ref's hands on the field and just buzz them when a play needs to be changed. That's it. That's all I need.
Yeah. And here's the only problem. The NFL has given no parameters of when replay assist is allowed. When do they decide that they want to get involved in a play versus when they don't? Which is, and because there's no parameters, you're leaving it up to the subjective view of one individual who's not on the field to go, maybe we should buzz down and let them know about this. No, that's ridiculous. That's the ridiculous part. It shouldn't be up to anybody other than the coaches on the field to decide when an extra replay is needed.
I see it. There we go. So the opinions are out there in mass. We'll probably get some more rule changes as the show goes, which includes when are they voting on the tush push? Will it be banned or not banned at this point? We'll certainly be able to find that out. And if it does happen, we'll bring that breaking news to you.